Good morning, Tableau friends. This is Curtis Harris, and I'm here to walk you through how to complete week 37 of Workout Wednesday. Or I'm here to walk you through how to fail at it. I wanted to try this viz because it had one unique element that I'm not sure that I could possibly even do. And that happens a lot with Workout Wednesday. I don't think I could complete half of these on my own, to be honest. And the unique element with this Workout Wednesday is this custom axis. You can see that Luke has provided years and months with varying font weights and sizes. So I'm really not sure how he did this, but I'm going to try to figure it out. So let's get started. For one, Luke has provided us with a cheat sheet for the size. I'm going to use that if it's there. I'm not going to go ahead and try to figure this out myself if he's going to provide me the instructions. So I'm just going to copy this text, go over to Tableau, and create a calculated field. You can do this right here in your data prep window. Save yourself a little bit of time. So here's a valid calculation. Thank you, Luke, for pasting that in appropriately. And we'll hit OK, and we get a size element already. I'm going to extract this already because I'm going to have to do that if I publish to Tableau Public anyway, if I get to that step. I'm going to give myself about an hour to do this, and hopefully I get done. Sometimes you can do Workout Wednesday in 10 minutes. Sometimes it takes a couple hours, and sometimes you never finish. So we'll see how this one lands. So now that we have that, we can go through the requirements and see what we can tick off quickly and what might take a little bit longer. So dashboard size is 900 by 620 and this color. So I'm just going to copy that right from the website and make it easier for myself. Now building a dashboard now, because I want to lock in those pixels and preserve that formatting once we get to that stage. So I won't have any odd resizing, and I won't have to waste time figuring out what went wrong there. So I've got a dashboard in the right dimensions with the right formatting. I can cross off these two items. The data has unknown dates. Make all unknown values show up 3 months past the maximum date. If you need help, see spoilers. Okay, so we need to find out what the maximum date is to make this work, and we need to identify those dates that have unknown values. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this step. Even though it's not going to really help me build the viz right away, it's going to check off one of these boxes that I know I can do right now. So let's just go to sheet 1 and start exploring the data. I'm just going to go ahead and pull on date onto my rows and see what we're working with. So the instructions say we have unknown dates. Looks like all the dates that are actually dates are valid, so I'm not going to worry about any of those. I'm just going to focus on this null. We could also see if I go back what the maximum date was, just for validation. So it was 5/8 of 2018. Maybe I'll keep that, and maybe I'll keep nulls, which will give me some nice point of reference if I'm doing the calculation right. So Luke says, make all unknown values show up 3 months past the maximum date, which is pretty simple. So what we're going to do here is create a calculated field, and I'm just going to call it new date. Since this is a binary decision, if the date is null, then we're doing something, or else we're using the other date. I'll use an inline if instead of an if or a case statement. It's just a little less typing, and it's usually just yes or no, this or that. So if is null date, that's our condition, right? That's our test. So Tableau is going to go out there and look for those dates that are actually null, and then we're going to tell it to do something with them. I'm going to leave that blank for just 1 second, and I'm going to throw in our else there. So all we need to do is figure out this middle part. And we need to add 3 months to the maximum date. So for one, we need to find the maximum date of the data source. And we can do that by writing a simple level of detail calculation. If you're finding it at the data source level in a fixed level of detail calculation, you actually don't need the word fixed. You can just do curly braces, and that assumes fixed. So right now, this LOD right here is going to give us 5/8/2018, no matter what. The only way that that could change is if we put in a context filter, a data source filter, or an extract filter, which we're not going to do, at least not yet. So if the date is null, then give me the max date. I don't really want that. I want to add 3 months to that. So we're going to just write a simple date add calculation. Give it a date part of month. Give it a 3 as the interval, and then give it our date, which we already have right there. So this should work out for us. And if you need any more help, how this reads is if the date field is null, these ones here, then add 3 months to the max date of the data source. And if the date is not null, then use the date field. So now we have that. I always forget that Tableau creates date calculations as date times, and I'm just going to go ahead and convert that to a date. And that actually alters your calculation. If you go back in, it'll wrap date around it, which I didn't write. Tableau did that for me. And I'm simply going to say, replace my references to date with new date. And now we just have 5/8. The nulls went away. And if I drag this off, I can probably see 8/8, which is actually all the nulls. So great, we have 3 steps done. Now we want to go on to the 4th. Let's just see if we can do this step by step. Create the stacked rectangle plot at the source level. Use size to size the boxes. Place a space of 0.01 between each of the squares, and make sure the order of the boxes matches too. This is key. This is the key to the challenge this week. Okay, this is interesting. So we'll see exactly what he means by this. Let's see if we can actually just match this for now. I have a feeling that this axis is not even on the same sheet as the stacked square plot, or whatever this you want to call this is. So we're probably going to have to manipulate it later, but for now we can try to get things right. So looks like we are showing the exact day. Yep, so each row is a month, and each box is a day. And it's at the month and year level, so that just gives us something to work with. So let's just try to start building this. I can use my new date field and move it up to columns, and change it to month. And I'm not really sure. I don't know what this is. I'm going to assume that's another sheet. It's not a reference line, or else it would have a tooltip. I don't see any reference lines on here at all. And these look probably discrete to me. I'm just not sure. So let's just try it out and see what happens. Okay, so we have our month, and then if we put the actual day here on our level of detail, we should get that look. We're looking okay. Since I do think that that unknown is on a new sheet, I'm just going to go ahead and use my old date field and say anything that's not null. I'm just going to exclude these nulls on this worksheet. Let's fit this to the entire view. We're going to go ahead and take our size element up to there, and that looks terrible. What in the hell? That's really weird. Let me see. I think I need something on my rows. And we also need this to be reversed. So we're just going to go in here and edit our axis and click the reverse button, and I think this will be close. The problem being, Luke said, give me 0.1 between, so we're actually not going to have the amount on rows, because that's going to create space between the values. Let's see what's going to happen if I just drag this down here. That's not working out very well. Let's see. Sometimes the solution is so simple, and I just can't see it when I'm under time pressure like this one. It's funny, if I take this down, this to detail. We have generally what we want right here. I'm wondering, that's just so bizarre looking. I don't know what's going on there. It's not a Gantt. Oh, we might be onto something now. That looks about right. So we have a shaped mark. I don't know why this is actually doing this different between a square and a shape. And I really don't care, to be honest. Sometimes I can see to what Tableau is doing, and I don't really worry about it. So that looks about right to me. Can bump it up a little. Seems to be following what's going on here. So I'm going to call that step OK for now and move on for a minute. Make sure the order of the boxes matches too. Did I do that? This should just be in order already, except it's not. Let's just sort. Didn't do anything. I'm going to come back to that. I don't care. Let's do the easy things first. So we're going to color, and we're going to add color. Source group. So that's easy enough. Donald J. Trump for president. We're going to copy that here. I don't want to remember what to type. So I'm just going to double click into my colors and figure it out. So there we go. Again, we should always take the easy way out when Luke or Ann or Roddy give us it. So that's what I'm doing now. It's just copying and pasting. Okay, so did I finish that whole step? Color by source group. Okay, that one's done. This one's not done. This one's still in flux, and those three are done. So we're moving down. I'm just going to try to get everything done that I can. Add annotations for when Trump announced candidacy, gets nomination, the election, and inauguration. Let's see. I'm assuming. Okay, those are here, 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 here. Luke says add annotations, which I'm assuming means use the real annotation type on the sheet level. But it's not really necessary. They're hard-coded. They're not dynamic. They're always going to be this way. So I'm going to cheat and save that for the end and just add it as floating elements on the dashboard. So I'm not going to do that right now because that's an easy step later. Add annotation around incomplete and missing data. Again, that's at the dashboard. I want to make sure I have the worksheet right before I add an annotation. So I'm going to do that at the end. Add the divider bracket on the dashboard. Again, I'll do that at the dashboard level. Match the tooltips. Wonder if I can do that. Let's see. Seems fairly straightforward. So we have the new date. Trump victory spent. Township of Bedminster. What is this? Is that in this? Seems like that might be it. So I'm going to add this to my detail and see if it creates more marks. What I watch for when I add new things to the detail is the bottom left corner. I see right now that I have 611 marks, and by dropping this, I want to see if it creates anything more or less than that. It wouldn't create less, but when this creates more, you might have changed your data more than you thought. So I have 703 marks now, which is interesting. You can see as I add and remove that, I get extra items. So I'm going to try to narrow down one of those, and I think I saw one here in March of 2017. Which is right around here, and I see those two, Bill Shuster and bold conservatives. Bill Shuster, bold conservatives. Yep, so that was the right split. I'm okay with the mark change because I can see that in Luke's tooltip. And usually when I do my tooltips, if I know I have some junk on there that I don't really want, I can just remove it from the view without touching my tooltip. So size, I don't want in there. You can actually just right click that and say include in tooltip. So let's see if we can actually format this properly. So we've got kind of an American looking date, 6/14/2017. That's how I read dates, so that's fine. And I can see that I have that in there, my new date. I don't need the month, so I'm just going to right click that, take it out of my tooltip. Source group, I don't believe I need that, so I'm going to remove that as well. And I have the 3 elements left that I need for the tooltip. And what I'm going to do is just edit the formatting here before I get to my tooltip. So I'm going to go ahead and say currency custom with no decimal points. And now I have everything I need. Sorry for the bouncing back and forth. It's hard to match tooltips when you can't actually see it. What we could do for the moment, I guess, is split the screen. But that's not working. So we got date, line break, source, and dollar amount with varying degrees. You can't really ask us to match the font if you're not going to give us all that. So I'm going to take the headers out here. Get rid of those. And center a line. Add some line breaks. And now it's just a matter of getting them in the right order, which they already are. So this one looks a little bigger than the others. Again, I don't know how to match it, but this looks about right already. Got that here, and that just looks a little lighter. So if we bounce back, we've got kind of a light gray. Looks about the same size as the middle, and the dollar amount looks a little bigger. So let's just see. It's close enough. One thing I should do is probably save. Okay, match the tooltips, credit the original authors, and link to the original. I'll do that on the dashboard. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so the big challenge we have now is the axis. I think we generally have everything right. It's just a matter of getting this axis to work. And when I was looking through this, I noticed one thing right immediately is that these are not headers. These are marks. You can tell that just by the little underline below it. If this was a header, you wouldn't see that underline. So this is definitely a text mark. And what I'm immediately going to try is a dual axis. So one set of dates on one and another on the other axis, just so I can get those different kinds of formatting. I don't think I could do that with just one. So probably going to try that. There's these little dots in the middle. I'm assuming those are part of a calculation or they're nulls or whatever. But what we're looking here is years. And quarters, I believe. Maybe not even that. It looks like we're just singling out April, July, and October every time. So pretty much you're going to have to find those dates. So, like I said, we could probably try that. We might even be able to try that here. For one, I'm just going to save this because I know this sheet generally works for the graph. And I might use it for the axis, but I'm not sure. I might just layer them together in a container. So let's give it a shot here. For one, if I think it's a dual axis, I'm going to need continuous dates, not actual dates or discrete. So let's just start playing around and see if we can figure it out. And what I think I want to do is use the month level. Well, that's not right. And that doesn't go over there. You know what, screw it. We're just going to build a sheet that is an axis because I'm lazy and don't want to do it another way. So what I'm going to do is actually just create a new date field and put it at the month level. I don't want to deal with any of the weird like plus, add, hierarchy stuff. So we're just going to make a date calculation, which will truncate this date to the month. And then we never have to deal with any other date parts. Again, it made it a date time. That's really annoying. Should inherit it from the other field, but whatever. I digress. Okay, so now we have a bunch of marks here. Again, I don't think that we're using an axis. We're using these marks as our axis. So what we can do here, well, you might even actually be able to do that and just layer it together. And that's an interesting idea. But I think what I'm going to do is the dual axis theory. So let's try that. We want to change these to a text mark. You see that little underline there? That's kind of how I figured out at least the theory of this. So what I'm going to do is actually drag this down here and label just that. And again, we have that weird unknown date, and I'm going to filter those out once more because it's just kind of bugging me. That might need to be there. Actually, it does. Okay. So what we want to do for one axis is single out the years. I'm assuming this is January. So I can single out the Januaries or the unknown and display that. So I want all of these marks, but I only want labels for certain ones. So let's create a calculated field to get those. Year and unknown. So let's see here. So if we say, what do we got here? So we have 4/1, 2015. Then we go 1/1. Okay, so let's see. You can just build it. This is hard coded, but this doesn't have to be dynamic. I tend to think of things as I would at work, where it would have to be dynamic and scale to add new data, but this is the data. This is not going to change, so we can just hard code it how we need it. So basically, I can start writing an if statement to single out those dates. Okay, so let's see if I can do this right. What was it? 4/1. Why I'm doing this is just to see if I'm getting anything right. So I can't compare string and date values. So I think it's actually just yelling at me for this. I just have to tell Tableau that that string is a date. I'm just hit apply. I'm not going to hit OK. I want to stay in the flow here. So I have my year and unknown, and I see my 2015 there. So I think we're onto something. So that's the only one. Let's see. That's January. This one's also January, and this one's also January. So now we can look at that. So if we say the month of new date, that's kind of confusing, equals 1, then we'll do string year of that. Got something wrong. Oh, whoops, I did else. I need an if. We're just going to do null. Okay, so you can see this coming together. We have 2015, 2016. We've got these little dots, which we saw on the original. 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018. That's what we have here, and unknown. So we can also say else if the old date, the original date, is null, then we can say unknown. And that should give us a mark there on the end. Nice. So we got everything we need. I can format those how I want them. They're bold and a darker color, and these are lighter. So now we just need to create a similar calculation for the other ones. And I think, like I said, I'm going to create a dual axis. Take year and unknown off the label and go in and create another calculated field that is just month names. Doesn't have to make sense. It makes sense to me right now. Like I said, it doesn't have to scale. No one else is ever going to see this or have to inherit it from me, so it doesn't really matter. So we've got April, July, and October. That's all we need to single out. So the only difference is the first mark. So we already have this here. Luke wants that April first mark to be 2015. So instead of saying 2015 here, I'm just going to change this calc that I used for the other one and say display null on my month names calc. And I think we just need 3 lines of text to get those. So we're going to say if the month of month name is 4, then show me the string of the month. Yep, okay, so that'll be fine. Do that 3 more times. We had July and October, so 7 and 10. This always bugs me, so I'm going to add some more spaces there because it's killing me. And everything else is null. So we have that. Let's see if that works out. So 7, 10, 4. We don't have a 4 there. We have month numbers. Let's see if we can format that in the right way. Okay, let's just go ahead and see if we can change the calculation a little bit. String if we add date name in, let's see what that does for April. It doesn't like it. Date name is being called with integer. You know what, again, I don't care, I'm just going to go cheat. So we have month names. I'm going to go ahead and edit the aliases because it's really not a big deal. Call that oct in July. Okay, so we have those. Let's see what happens if we combine the two. Synchronize, show, we don't want those. So now we have our custom axis. Pretty much all we need to do is format things. So here we're going to go and call this maybe bold. Looks about right to me. So we're going to call it OK since there's not instructions otherwise. This looked like a, let's see, it's kind of medium-ish, but it's definitely a lighter color. So we're going to go ahead and make that lighter. Also might be bold. I don't know why that made the other ones go away. Huh. No, it's not bold. Okay, I need to move on. So I'm just going to pick something and go. It looks slightly smaller, so maybe I'll just make this 8. Call it bold and call it a day for now. Dual axes always create these stupid borders. I hate it. I wish it would just not do that, but what can you do? I don't know. There's no tooltips, so let's turn that off. Bang, bang, bang. and we have our axis. And let's just hope things line up. So let's go to the dashboard and see. As I preach on Twitter usually, I typically start out my dashboards with just a floating vertical or horizontal. It doesn't really matter, just one or the other. And what this does for us is creates a nice spot to land our objects, and it does not create the tiled element, which I completely loathe. So let's just do this. And what I do is just float it out to 0, 0 on X and Y and make it the same size as my dashboard. So now I have that, and looks like we got a big old title thing here. So let's add a text box. I also usually float or put 2 blanks in there, because with the blanks holding places for me, it's easier to see where my thing is going to drop. So I can just put it here and start writing out this long title. Oh my gosh, can I actually do that? That's exciting. Again, cheating for the win. Everything works, so that was cool. Saved a bunch of time there. We're going to put our sheet here and our other sheet there. Hide those titles. I'm going to hide the field labels. I don't want to show the header. And I want to get rid of this tiled object that I added in the background because I don't need it. And let's go ahead and get rid of our blanks now. And something nice, I forget which version it came out with, but in Tableau now we have this concept of outer padding. And we can layer these sheets together now without them looking like separate things. So if I go and change those to 0, those are going to look like 2 combined sheets. The formatting for the sheets is not matching the dashboard, so I'm going to go to the shading and just say none, which will inherit the color of the dashboard. So we're looking close here. I do need to change some borders. We have some on this sheet, which we don't want. So that's looking close. We do need those unknown dates back, though. So I didn't know that before. Let's just see what this does at this point. Something's telling me I need to make this continuous now, which is really annoying. This one might kind of stump me for a minute. We'll see. It looks like there's some padding here on the text, so let's go ahead and take the outer padding off and add, I don't know, 20 pixels. That looks about right. We have our axis, which is not lining up with our sheet, so this is definitely obnoxious. Entire view. Let's just make this something like 25. We're close. Close isn't good enough though. So I definitely have to go back to this sheet and rework it into a continuous axis so it will line up with the others. It's the big one. If I go back, they definitely line up better. It's the spacing that's actually throwing me off. I don't know what I need to alter for that. So let's go and see what happens. That's odd. Whoa, might have got it. Don't know what I did. Don't really care. But that looks about right. So let's go edit this and reverse it and see if it lines up. So we're going to take off all this stuff. Go back. And that looks ridiculous. But it's pretty dang close. So let's see what's going on here. I think let's just bump down the size and see what we get. A little off. That's not right. Squares work now, which is kind of cool. Let's just make it a little smaller. Luke said something about exactly 0.1 between each square. Like, come on. Really? That's not a big deal. So I think he's a little bit crazy there. Highly unnecessary in my opinion. Oops. And we're just going to move on because I think that's close enough. And close enough is typically good enough in my book. Let's see if we can match the order. He did say that that was important, so looks like things are all kind of scattered, so we do need to sort these. That's strange. Okay, what's going on here? So, looks like we want to favor this Donald J. Trump for president thing and what is happening to everything. I think it's something to do with the index. What I usually like to do when I'm troubleshooting is just add that field to the view. So it's definitely the index that it's sorting on. So I need to figure out how to alter that in a way that's beneficial to us. Let's see if that did anything. Okay, there's a big blob there, 1128. Okay, looks pretty good. I think we're okay. Got a couple overlappings here. I think that's why Luke wants that even spacing. I'm just not going to give it to him because I don't think it changes much. He's not going to give me full credit for this. Whatever. No big deal. Okay, here, this doesn't quite line up how Luke's does, which is a little bit frustrating. That's an 8-8. That is because that's an 8-1. So we need to go change this. So it looks like well, it's truncating into August, so I need to single out those and let them be the actual date. So again, I'm going to find those unknown dates and give it the new date. I'll just let it be that. Or else give me the month. And this should move that unknown over to the right just a tiny bit. Huh, still not lining up. That's strange. Let's just do this here. Huh. Okay, that's obnoxious. Let's see if we could hard code these on each sheet. That would probably help us out. So there we go, 128 to 1011. I'm just going to lock that in there. And that's probably our problem. So 128 to 1011. And these should line up now. What the hell? That's weird. Why did that do that? I don't think I clicked that. That was weird. Anyway. Sweet. So we've got some grid lines that we need to get rid of. We don't want those there. We have a 0 line that we don't want. Everything else looks fine though. Got unknown. And all we really need to do is add these annotations. Okay. Okay, that's fine. Looks pretty tiny. So there's our annotation. I think that the actual bracket thing is just like an annoying text box. Border, do that. Single edge. Looks black. Huh. Strange. That's weird. let's just dig the easy way out again. The incomplete is kind of right over that little dot right there. And it ends right down there about this. Okay, so let's just put it right there. And what we're going to do, I really don't like annotations, by the way, for those of you who are still listening, or the one person who is still listening in the entire world. Just float a text box, give it a black border, and I'm going to make it 1 pixel high. We're just going to do something like that. Goes out to the unknown realm. Just going to drop it down just a little bit more and call it good. I'm not going to waste time adding these 2 little things. That's absurd. We also have a little barrier over here. Again, just going to float a text box out, give it a black border, and make it 1 pixel wide, and then just kind of place it there. Good enough. Have that. We can just add a little text box to our container in the center. And we just need some annotations. So again, just going to cheat and add it this way. Trump announces candidacy with a little caret. Right there. Sorry for bouncing all over the place. Trump gets nomination. Don't remind me. Where was that? May. There. I'm just going to put this at the same Y. Make sure these are on the bottom, and then they'll all play a little nicer together. Election inauguration. (2017). This is really bugging me. almost done. This is kind of the boring part. Okay, so that's generally good. I just need to fix this one little issue. I think the chart here is just a little too big. What we need to do is move this down. I don't know why. Oh my hell. Sure. Okay, I think we're generally good. Let's see. We've got a little bit of an issue here. Say one too many carriage returns. Okay, looks great. Save that sucker. I didn't really think I was going to be able to do this within an hour, to be honest. So nice to know that I pulled it off. Looks like some of these floating elements are just moving around a tad, so let's do that. Save. We've got everything done. Just make sure date as unknown dates, stacked rectangle, access labels. Looks great. I'm okay with it. So we're going to call it a day. I will publish this to Workout Wednesday, to Tableau Public. Just call it Workout Wednesday, week 37. I'm going to hide all the sheets, delete the junk, and save. And I'll just publish this right now. And we'll see you next time. For my one watcher who's still here, thank you for sticking around to the very end. I hope you got something out of watching me build this Workout Wednesday. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.